Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about REN and REN BTC and why this thing is so potentially undervalued.
Yeah, I think so. Undervalued, but the reason for our apprehension, I guess, because we've known about it, is just it already did one hell of a run up, right? But that's
It's
a lot
true.
of DeFi. Like a lot of DeFi has already had its run. But Ren stands out, I guess, because of it does
Its
that tech block.
utility.
Yeah, that ubiquity aspect of it. That's always in my mind like one of the most important factors for a project.
Yeah, I mean, while we
Yeah.
were doing our research for this, we were comparing it to the graph, and it's like it's ubiquitous utility aspect of it.
Yeah, at least in the future of DeFi, which we know the space is like really gravitating to.
Yeah,
Like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies was like DeFi 1.0. Now we're kind of expanding, what digital assets can do for you, as far as like accruing wealth and whatnot. So
yeah. So before we get into it, let's check back into Bitcoin, and it broke out into $61,000 over the weekend, and there's a lot of celebrating. And ever since then, it's done a little dump back to 55 and now 56,000.
so what do you think, dude? Is that a
Um,
fake out?
no, I think we're on our way up, dude. This is moon math season, so
Is it though?
it
I
is,
mean,
dude.
we're a little ahead of schedule according to the moon math, dude.
We are actually technically, according to the moon math, we're on track. I think.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, fuck it, dude. You can't argue with the moon math then. But
yeah.
yeah, so we had a little breakout and then a little breakdown. So much for that. That didn't last long. But I mean, it's not that crazy though. Like there's not like total blood in the streets like you would expect. Like some altcoins are like really doing well during this Bitcoin sell-off, you know what I mean?
So let's jump into REN, and one of the projects that just started using REN is Digibyte. Digibyte is a project from like 2016, 2017 timeframe. So we've seen them like here and there, and they're essentially another blockchain that has support for smart contracts, and so they're a whole other ecosystem. Like Ethereum is its own ecosystem. And
Mhm.
so now they've integrated with REN Virtual Machine, which is a sort of like a protocol that REN has developed for projects to start bridging liquidity with each other. And so REN also has the ability to move your Bitcoin onto Ethereum so that you can stake REN BTC onto the DeFi applications that we've all seen out there. So that's its main use case. And let's take a look at the website. So REN, its tagline is liquidity unchained, which is brilliant. But
I really like that one.
yeah, it's freaking brilliant. So they bring Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Zcash, and more to your Ethereum app. So if you're a developer and you have a DApp on Ethereum, and you're like, man, it would be really nice if we can get the people from that hold Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin Cash and all these different currencies on different blockchains onto our DApp so that they can stake it, right, or do whatever it is that your DApp does. And
Mhm.
so by incorporating this tech called RenVM, then you can allow the bridging of that liquidity from Bitcoin's blockchain onto your DApp.
Mm.
So that's its main purpose. And this website is like heavy on the developer side. Obviously they have like a really great UI here for the landing page, but this is really tech for the developers, just in the way that the graph is tech for the developers again.
There's a whole like ecosystem breakdown in all this too. Just like again, there is for the graph. So like the thing that's so interesting about these like ubiquitous service offering protocols like the graph, like Ren, is that if you really break it down, you have like a big picture perspective of what they do. Like is really they don't do much. These are like some simple services you could easily execute in like a centralized manner. It's the nature of like decentralizing that process that makes it so interesting and so groundbreaking, right?
Right.
Like we have, if you could bridge your assets in a custodial way pretty easily, and there's plenty of options to do that. But yeah, to for this, yeah, for it to remain trustless and permissionless, I mean, there's a whole fucking ecosystem, like architecture you have to figure out and actually incentivize people to participate in and actually uphold all of that. you know?
Right.
That's the most fascinating shit. And then they're in the process of like completely decentralizing it where it's completely DAO governed. You know, all the nodes are distributed and like outside the control of the core team. Like, fucking A, it's a big deal.
Yeah, so the process looks like this. So you send Bitcoin to a Bitcoin public address that is generated when interacting with this protocol. And a lot of this is built into the developer's dApp, right, using REN VM. And so there's like a native way to do it via REN bridge, but this will be built into a lot of projects that you start using to stake your tokens, right? All of a sudden you can stake Ethereum, but then the developer integrates REN VM, and now you can stake Bitcoin via a REN BTC. So you send Bitcoin to this address, and it returns to you a REN BTC to your Ethereum address, and then from there you can start staking it. So it's a relatively straightforward process, but like Iman was saying, that the way that REN works, it's decentralized and trustless and permissionless. Like that's the key value. There are alternatives that are centralized, like wrapped Bitcoin. It just depends on how much you kind of trust a centralized party. To a certain extent, I think they're working on decentralizing, but we have a finished protocol here that so many projects are using.
The fact that we're starting to see additional adoption with the Digibyte community, and we know Polkadot is like on the docket to come out soon and integrate with REN. Now, not only is Ethereum like a destination ecosystem for all this liquidity, the new one is Binance Smart Chain, you know? So it's working in the sense that I think we have enough proof of concept at this point to kind of like make that stamp, like this thing is here to stay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the future of crypto DeFi, not even just Ethereum DeFi, you know?
Yeah, so we're sort of used to this interface. So just to give you a clearer look, to get BTC to REN BTC, it sends that REN BTC to your address. And once it's on your address, then you can use the Ethereum ecosystem or any other ecosystem that supports REN BTC to stake. And like Iman was saying, that they are supporting Binance Smart Chain. And then after that, they're going to support Polkadot. So if Binance Smart Chain has like another ecosystem of DeFi, well, now you can stake our REN BTC into that DeFi ecosystem within Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, it's a massive deal just because there's so much money in Bitcoin, dude. And like you were saying, like it's just kind of sitting there right now because they don't have the smart contract ecosystem, right?
That's right.
All the newer gen blockchains do. So
yeah, imagine when Bitcoin gets to like 10 trillion. Right now it's like a little bit, well, it's at a trillion right now, but imagine once it starts competing with gold's market cap. Yeah, that's $10 trillion essentially just sitting there doing nothing. So there needs to be a way for Bitcoin to participate in this DeFi ecosystem to yield returns, right? There's a good use case in order to collateralize your Bitcoin for an ERC20 version of that same thing, so you can either speculate more, stake it, or do whatever with it.
Yeah, 100%.
There's just more. This is like the process that it goes through. So, like for example, this is an example of Bob wanting to stake his Bitcoin in DeFi, which is like the main use case. Who knows, like a year from now, when we're in the heat of the bear market, what sort of other technologies developers come up with that go beyond just staking. And then this will be able to participate in that craze because now Bitcoin is on Ethereum, right? Yeah, this is like one of those technologies that can or will be ubiquitous in the same way that the graph is going to be ubiquitous.
Oh, and like Chainlink already is.
Or Chainlink already is, yeah.
So having said that, I mean, let's go back to the price data and make our final predictions, I guess.
Yeah.
Having said that, you can kind of categorize these what we classify as like ubiquitous servicing protocols, right up there with Chainlink. I think Chainlink currently is somewhere around the 10 billion market cap range.
Yeah.
So more than likely, we're going to see some type of movement, in tandem with that. We made the same prediction for the graph. So
yeah,
that's what it is. That's what we're expecting to happen. So that's the opportunity there.
Yeah. And I mean, think of it this way. If we have projects just inherently using the graph, and the graph right now is at roughly $2 billion, and pretty much almost every single project is using the graph, you could consider the graph being undervalued, right? And the market just doesn't recognize that. And when it comes to REN and REN BTC, there's a good probability that the market doesn't necessarily recognize the value of REN just yet, which is why the market cap is 947 billion, which is pretty good, right? That's high-ish.
It has a lot to do too with like we just need to see TVL increase more to kind of like prove that the not just the speculator market, but like the developer market in the DeFi space truly, really want to integrate this protocol on their apps.
That's true.
So I mean, if you actually break it down, you find all the REN assets currently in the marketplace. There's 4 right now. They have REN BTC, REN Doge, REN Bitcoin Cash, and REN Zcash. And largely, most of the liquidity being locked is only in Bitcoin. The other 3, not so much. Can you pull them up? Just type REN into the search bar.
Oh, right here.
So there they are. So you could see they're all ranked in the thousands. And if you just click on them individually, most of them only have 1 million or so locked up.
Yeah, let's check out REN Doge.
Yeah, as much as we heard about Doge, right? Elon Musk is a Doge boy. Like, let's see how much liquidity is locked. 4 million, largely. I don't necessarily know why there isn't such a, maybe just it's an indication of like the community of people who own these assets. Maybe they're just not well educated on DeFi yet.
I think that might be the case, because when it comes to, let's say in Doge's case, you have to get onto the right exchange in order to purchase Doge, right? You can't get it on Coinbase, you can't get it on Uniswap. But with REN Doge, you can get it on Uniswap. You can actually swap for REN Doge and participate in the little meme that's going on with Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
So this not only provides a solution to the person that wants to ape into tokens that they can't readily have access to because they don't have an account with a particular exchange, they can ape into it using REN.
Yeah.
And so now that REN is integrating with Binance Smart Chain, you could potentially ape into tokens that you otherwise would not have access to because you're in a particular location, geographical location on the planet. So there's a huge use case and a huge implication with REN that speculators can take advantage of, and that's why we're bullish on REN.
Yeah, and it just kind of gives you like an idea of like what phase REN is as far as like that adoption curve. Like clearly it's working for the Bitcoin community. There's enough demand there to justify almost $1 billion of liquidity lockup. I mean, it doesn't sound like much for $1 trillion asset class. Like $1 billion ain't much, right?
Right.
That's less than 1%, right? Like what's $1 billion of $1 trillion? $1 trillion is 1,000 billions, right?
That's right.
So it's like
0.1%.
Yeah, dude. So, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of liquidity left to be locked up in not just the Bitcoin space, but once all these other communities start to, bridge and migrate onto these, DeFi ecosystems, like that's when the market realizes like, holy shit, REN's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We need more evidence as a market. Like it's still too early, to justify that $20-30 billion market cap for REN,
Yeah, and I definitely recommend reading this article because it does explain everything as to how this works, and this protocol is completely independent from the price. So if you buy one REN BTC, you have one REN BTC, and its value is based on the market price. So if you have a REN BTC in it, all of a sudden Bitcoin gets to $1 million. Well, you have $1 million worth REN BTC. And everything's explained here. So it's pretty interesting that, we're able to develop something like this, and then REN's design is to be implemented in DeFi projects, right? So again, this kind of plays into the same kind of ideology that the graph plays into, where it's focused on the developers, right? We're in the phase in cryptocurrency right now where it's still focused on building, and there's still a lot of protocols left to be built that we're trying to figure out what the problems are in the cryptocurrency space, so that when we see that problem, we start looking for solutions. And once we find solutions, that's a good opportunity, right, to look into these projects and speculate on.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when it comes to REN BTC, we know that there's a problem with liquidity, right? Most of it is locked into Bitcoin. And so now what they do is they bridge that liquidity to different projects that are building, you know, with smart contracts, right? And the newest one is Digibyte. And Digibyte has like 160,000 followers, something crazy like that.
Yeah, obviously like a monster community, you know,
Yeah.
so that represents a lot of potential liquidity for the DeFi ecosystem. Now, again, we don't know how asleep at the wheel most of these, you know, Digibyte members are.
Yeah.
Like kind of like, you know, what we're seeing from the Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, and, you know, Doge community. But who knows? At some point, maybe they'll wake up and realize, like, holy shit, like, what am I doing? I'm just sitting here, like,
Yeah.
on my Doge. Like, I should be staking this shit and getting my fat yield.
Yeah.
You know, why not? But thanks to REN, it's possible.
That's right. Yeah, and Digibyte, I mean, look at this. They're doing exactly what they should be and talking about how long they've been in the space, 7 years, right? Since December 2013. So they've been around the block. And one of the interesting things about Digibyte is they didn't do an ICO, and they're still around. So that's
really community driven. That's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love to see it.
So yeah, that covers REN and REN BTC. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment below what you think about REN. And follow us on Twitter at TheBlockRunner and also at MetaZone.io. And we will catch you in the next video.
All right. Peace.